We have a guest in the studio, Saliu mean Oluwadamiloju. Yes, I got it right this time around.
Yeah, you did.
Perfect. Oluwadamiloju.
Don't bother
Six
counting
jokes. I'm
this.
like,
Anyways.
it's just too long, but I got it this time around.
Yeah,
Good
you
morning,
did.
it's good to have you.
It's
Welcome
good to be
the
back
program.
here. It feels like I should say Happy New Year.
It does feel like that. Does feel like it looks like a long time.
Yeah.
We're just gradually trying to make things return
Get
to
into
normal.
it.
So
We're having a discussion of it, and I said we have seen this year, but it feels like everything that happened before the lockdown is last year. So permit me to say Happy New Year again.
yeah.
It's good to be back on sports this morning.
committed.
You're one of those that say we should cancel 2020, right? Okay.
Let's just
We're not
archive
cancelling
it
things
somewhere.
happen.
Just put it in a particular box.
Yeah.
All right.
We actually grew a year older, whether you like it or not. Okay.
You know what, guys? Let's just get back. Let's get back into it. Before you came on set, you had us talk about tennis. We have some two ladies to talk about as well. But before we talk about those two ladies, let me allow you probably have your say that probably some things we said that you want to chip in. But quick one on those.
It's been an amazing tournament. It's been a tournament of shocks. It's been a tournament where we didn't believe what we've seen. Last year and 2 years ago, finalist Dominic Thiem was knocked out yesterday by a very good friend in what was a grueling encounter. I heard when Cecilia said she got to a point where she was tired of watching the game. I actually enjoyed what I saw yesterday, 5 hours and about 10 minutes. And Diego Schwartzman, who didn't make it past the second round of the French Open last year, is now in the last 4, and then he's going to definitely be in the top 10 for the ATP. Then for the women, it has been a stunning tournament for a few players. We've seen a lot of seeded players knocked out. Karina Pliskova didn't make it past the second round. You talked about Iga Swiatek, who needed a little over an hour to outstart Simona Halep. And coincidentally, she lost to Simona Halep last year. She got a perfect revenge. Swiatek has lost not more than 5 games in each of her 5 matches that she has played. It just tells you, and then, of course, Serena Williams, heartbreak for her. She had to pull out in the second round. But the French Open, in a year that's been so strange, we've seen a lot of strange results. I can't shake the feeling. I know this is a very bold prediction. I can't shake the feeling that this might just be a year where Rafael Nadal might not go on to win the French.
Very bold. All right. At this point, I want to bring you into all that we're doing on the show. I want to talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We'll give you updates from their camp. We've talked about the NBA. We've talked about tennis. We've talked about some other issues as well. So I want to get your thoughts. That's how you can do it for your questions, comments, and suggestions on all of the issues we've discussed about. You can tweet at us at channels_sports. You can also send us a mail, sportsthismorning@channelstv.com. Send us a mail. Let us know how you feel. Is there something you feel we should be talking about on the show that you think is not getting the required attention? Let us know. We'll do our best to also shift into that direction. We're in the season of international friendlies, or the season of qualifiers for countries in South America. They are already preparing for 2022. Those issues will dominate our thoughts in the next few minutes. All right, so that's it. Be a part of the show, and of course, we will get your thoughts out there, and the people will know what you're talking about. All right, guys, let's move on and talk about the Super Eagles. I was talking with Cecilia. I was very excited. Have every player that you want. It's already all the players invited. Although there've been withdrawals, injuries, and all that, but every player that now made the squad after all of those issues, they're now in camp. It's good to hear.
Brilliant news. I'm really excited. I spoke about this earlier on in the morning with a few colleagues. It's always exciting when we have all the players together. It means whatever nitty-gritty and fine details that the manager wants to put in place, it can be done. We know that yesterday, Ahmed Musa finally touched down. Same with Paulo Nuachu. They had a friendly game. And it was so interesting that the 2 men who came in late got 3 of the 4 goals that we had in the training session. So it shows you that everybody is jostling for places. Everybody understands that maybe we may have 1 or 2 players that, quote-unquote, have a starting berth, but it feels like everybody is ready to battle for their place, and that can only be exciting for the coach and the national team.
Yeah, that's why he's having a very sweet headache right now. I mean, the kind of headache you want to have, especially when you're thinking, which player am I going to pick? But the good thing is that it's just a friendly.
Yeah.
And, of course, this is going to help us to really know some of those players he has invited. Because some of us were asking, where are they going to fit in? Into his own template, into his own squad and everything. But this friendlies is going to help.
Very good opportunity
for him to see. And also inviting 4 goalkeepers. That's why I was a bit worried.
There's something that I've always... I don't know if it's fair to say I've always questioned Raw, but it's my personal opinion, and feel free to disagree. if you invite players that are not in your main squad, I think it's only fitting, irrespective of what is going to happen in that friendly, play them. That's the grounds I've always had with it. But do you think that will change here?
I hope it does. I totally agree with you on this one, especially when it's friendly games. We understand that you can't be tinkering when it comes to the qualifiers and the major competitions. But I always say this, everybody who is a regular starter, whether at club or country level, had a point where they never played. They got an opportunity,
And
they took it, and then that's why they are mainstays. So that's why we have these friendly games. Some of these players, Cecilia mentioned, we have 4 goalkeepers, we have about 5 or 6 new call-ups. I want to see some of those players. We all know what Ahmed Musa can do. We saw him at the 2018 World Cup. Everybody knows, unfortunately, Victor Osimhen had to pull out. Everybody knows what the other players can do. If I start mentioning some of the names, Ekong, Balogun, Jamilu Collins, we've seen these players time and time again. At least for the very first friendly, let's see players that a lot of Nigerians are saying, oh, okay, who is that new guy?
This guy?
He did very well. The likes of the Tijanis and all whatnot. Play them in these friendly matches, and then if they do well, it does 2 things. First of all, it makes them understand that when we've done well at club level and we come to the national team, we can actually stake a claim. And also for those who might be getting comfortable of having their starting berth, the moment they know that a new player has come on board and is doing well, they're going to sit up. So definitely, Raw has to do this sooner rather than later. We'll have some of the fringe players back in the starting 11.
All right.
Yes, many players, many on standby. We just hope that, as you mentioned, we're able to feature some of them. Of course, the game against Tunisia and Algeria is part of the friendlies as Nigeria prepared to start qualifiers for the Nations Cup and also the World Cup. It's been a tough year for everyone, and we're just expecting for you. I mean, what would be like a plus for the Eagles in these 2 games?
In these 2 games, I want to see all the new call-ups play at least 45 minutes.
Okay, let me slam this one on you, irrespective of the results.
I'm not too big on the result right now. Okay. I'm not too big on the result. Let's tell ourselves the truth. We are going to qualify for the AFCON. We are. We are going to qualify for the AFCON. We'll probably do it with a game to spare like we've done for our last 2 tournaments. I want a breath of fresh air.
8 years ago is still fresh.
No, let's bring the memories of 2-3 years ago. Okay. That's a lot closer. Qualifying for the 2019 AFCON and the 2018 World Cup with a game to spare.
Yemi, hold on. Are you trying to say that?
Look at our
we're not even thinking about that. We're thinking of qualifying with 2 games to spare, right?
I'm thinking,
and that's what we're thinking about.
We should not become so confident that we just blot it out that I don't worry, we're going to qualify. No, because we've got our hands burnt in times past. True. So I'd love to see us qualify first before.
I think
but I know where you're coming from.
I think those times you were talking about, there was inconsistency in the Spragos, especially when it comes to the coaching crew. Remember, a coach will start, then before you know it, the coach is, I mean, it's out. You bring in another coach to continue with the qualifiers and all that. Maybe the former coach has lost 1 or 2 games or something like that, and then you're having the usual problem between the coach and the NFF and some players and everything. So there was always a problem.
Those kind of issues.
Yeah, why we didn't qualify. But now we've been consistent. I mean, the same coach who went to the World Cup, he wasn't asked to leave. I mean, his contract renewed, new players coming in. You still have some of those players who played the last Nations Cup. Most of them are here, except the ones that, retire after the World Cup and all that. So I think there's just no
so
excuse.
the confidence is not misplaced.
That's it. So there's no excuse for us not to.
I think I agree with Cecilia. We have to build. So the last 2 tournaments, we qualified with a game to spare. How about we try qualifying with 2 games to spare?
Yeah, that's a step forward.
That's what I'm saying. I have no problem. If you look at our group, no disrespect to our opponents,
we should
be qualifying. We should be qualifying easily. That's why I'm saying for these friendly games. Now, you mentioned the result. Of course, I don't want Nigeria to go and play Tunisia and lose 3-0, 4-0.
That's scandalous.
But the first thing for me for a friendly game is the performance. We've seen games where a team loses. Brighton against Manchester United. Brighton lost 3-2, but nobody will go and say Brighton had a bad game. So I want us to play some of those new boys. And even if we lose, I want to see a good performance. Now, if we play the new boys and then we lose scandalously, then we will understand why Guerrero has been playing the same crop of players. He will tell you that, okay, I brought in a few new players and this is what happened. But give them that shot. If Osimhen was never played, he will never be where he is right now. If Ahmed Musa, if a chance wasn't taken on him. So you've called up these players, you might as well throw them in the deep end.
But do you know sometimes when you lose a game, sometimes you know that you now know where to actually put in some players, the loopholes to block and all that. Like, I'm not trying to compare women and men's football, but G. Ellis, when the US lost at the Olympics and all that, and they came back, what did he do? He discovered that there are some players that are not really like fast players and all that. He needed to bring in some young players in it. In the first 4 games that they played, friendlies that they played, international tournaments, they were losing. The Americans were losing, both home and away and all that. But at the end of the day, what happened at the World Cup? So, I mean, sometimes you have to build and you have to lose. And when you're able to plug the loopholes,
yeah.
the holes and everything, then you
Come out
can
shining.
excel. So even if we lose against Tunisia and the performance was okay,
Yeah.
you know that, okay, yes, there's some things to improve on that. That's just my point.
All right.
Instead of you wanting to play the likes of, you know,
All
the
the
players
time.
we already know,
All the
Kenneth
time.
Emery, you know, Ahmed Musa and all that, and this scoring and everything. I wouldn't be happy if we play our usual first 11 and win maybe 4-0. I wouldn't be happy about that. But I just want to see those new boys play, and we'll see, you know, what they can actually offer subsequently.
Because that's the reason they were invited.
That's the reason they were invited in the
Exactly.
first place. So, okay.
All right, I guess we can move on now. And
Go to Heartland.
unfortunately, we were trying to hook up with the Super Eagles media officer, and things didn't go the way we planned. Hopefully, we'll, you know, get it right. Maybe some other days we'll see what we can do. Let's really go to Imo State and talk about one of the very popular clubs in the Nigeria Professional Football League. We're talking about Heartland, and of course, a new interim board has been inaugurated by the governor. Wants to put the club in a new direction, where the governor wants things to be turned around and wants things to be handled professionally, so that everybody in Imo State and beyond will be happy with the way the club is being run. So let's just quickly listen, a very short one. We'll listen to the governor, and we'll come back to talk about what's happening with Heartland Football Club.
The board of Heartland Football Club is an interim board. And this interim board will sit in there to work out guidelines and the roadmap that will not only take the football club through the coming season, that will grow the football club from where it is now to where Imo people expect the football club to be.
Oh, that's it. So we've talked about our local clubs, how we want things to be run professionally, and the governor has waded in and said, look, I don't want all this fighting, I don't want all these things I'm hearing. You guys, it's an interim board, but I want you guys to do the framework so that we can get things the way it should be.
We've always talked about framework, we've always talked about structure, rules, regulations. In my opinion, this is a move in the right direction because Heartland, we have to tell ourselves the truth, have been on a downward spiral. Heartland is no longer the club they were some 10 years ago. And according to the governor, let's just hope that this can go forward. And when you talk about those traditional teams in the NPFL, Heartland is one of the teams that you mentioned. It's so saddening to hear the fact that Heartland are battling relegation, they survived relegation with 2 games to spare. That's not where they should be.
Payment of salaries.
Exactly. I mean, all this. I don't even want to go into all those ones. Let's just hope that those things are a thing of the past and Heartland can go on bring its masterpieces.
All right.
You know, what surprised me is the fact that, I mean, the board that was inaugurated just yesterday, I mean, a board was dissolved like as far back as January, right? And you're just inaugurating another one. And this one you're inaugurating is also interim. So I'm like, you waited for so long. And now you're having interim. So I'm like, okay. Well, the good thing, I mean, he has given them the task, just try as much as possible, reposition the club. We'll see if they can reposition the club because the new season is starting, we don't know when, but soon. And of course, with all the, I mean, recommendations and regulations and, you know, club licensing and everything that the sports ministry and, of course, NFF and LMC have actually talked about, you know that all these clubs will need to meet these requirements. Maybe that's also part of the job of this newly 5-man committee that has been set up to see how they can also fit into that structure that the LMC and NFF and also sports ministry have actually given to all the clubs in Nigeria.
Let's just hope that at the end of this whole thing, our football gets back to where it is supposed to be. It's going to take time, but I really can't wait. Cecilia said we don't know when the league is going to start. We're still waiting for that date, and hopefully once the league starts, it will be all smiles to the stadium and the rest of the federation.
But Damiloju, let's quickly talk about, let's go to South America. Let's talk about Argentina and Brazil. Let's see if we can lump it together. Good thing I saw pictures of Lionel Messi with the Argentine team. I don't know how many times he has said, I'm not playing again, I'm back and all that. But it's good to see him join the Argentine fold.
I'm really happy. I'm really happy that he's back there because he's how old now? He's 33. He probably has just one. In fact, he has just one World Cup left. That's the honest truth.
If he's still playing by then?
No, he will be at Qatar. He definitely will be at Qatar.
On this level?
Maybe on this level. You know, this level is not the level of 2 years ago anymore.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Exactly, but I expect him to be at the Qatar 2022 World Cup. And Also, he has to play the Copa America. So it's good to see he's back in training. Looked like he was looking okay with his teammates. They have to, this is the final chance for this Argentina team. If they don't win anything. Exactly. If they don't win anything with this era, then it will have been a wasted effort. We can count how many times they went to the final, lost to penalties. Chile with a major thorn in their flesh. But it's good to see that Messi is back in training. And of course, for their South American neighbors, Brazil also, Neymar is in training and everybody's all smiles. It's good to see. I really can't wait for this World Cup qualifiers to start.
All right, so...
I mean, I'm looking at Messi. I mean, each time we mention Argentina, we just don't remember that they also have Sergio Aguero, right?
Any team that Messi is in, you mention Messi before everybody.
Maria, they have Dybala. I mean, usually like they have like 6, 7 world-class players in...
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Neymar.
That's Brazil. Coach Tite has refused to allow those old guys in defense, or maybe they're the ones who didn't retire anyway, but they're still finding ways to use Thiago Silva, Marcelo, all of those guys, Dani Alves.
Do they have replacement first?
I think they
Cecilia read my mind.
Do they have? Yeah, they mentioned like 4 defenders.
You want to tell me you're not going to have players in Palmeiras, in Sao Paulo?
No, I'm asking you now. Mention 5 players that you feel like can actually work in and take over from Thiago Silva. Mention maybe...
That are on their level?
Yes. On their level, yes.
It might take me a while, though.
Yes.
But, you know, what I'm saying is I'm not accusing
Do you
the coach.
go to give the coach headache? I mean, you have players who are still performing at their best, playing at top clubs.
For Champions League final just a month ago.
Exactly. And he went to Chelsea.
Yes.
And you're telling me that player should retire.
That's what I actually expected to hear from you. That it's not the age that's the issue. It's the fact that those guys are still playing on that very high level. So the age really doesn't become an issue.
Yeah, it's not so much of a problem. I look at that Brazilian defense. I think only at left back can you say that a few players can come in. Alexandro is really giving Marcelo a run for his money. At a point, Felipe Luis was also being used. But you look at centre back, David Luiz will always split opinions. Thiago Silva is like the most level-headed person there. You look at the likes of Danilo. Okay, Marquinhos is also really knocking on the doors. I think if Thiago Silva is moved on, Marquinhos can be one that will play regularly. But you look at right back, after Dani Alves, Danilo was one of the guys that was supposed to take over the reins. He's not really been able to cement himself. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. I mean, Brazil are doing very well, winning Copa America with some of these players. So you might as well just keep these players
together.
As long as they are not giving you 3/10s. If they're giving you 5, 6, 7/10 performances week in, week out, or month in, month out, as it is with the international break, then you can just stick with them.
All right. Very interesting discussion we've had on the Brazil team, and I agree with Damiloju. Kinds of splits opinion sometimes, but they're getting results. Tite is doing so well. Cecilia, let's see if you have a couple of tweets.
I'll just take 2. This one is coming from Extra Time Sports and ABS. It says, he's asking the question, why an interim? Let the truth be told. This land has no heart. The toying around is getting excessive.
Okay, that's a tough one.
It's really a tough one.
I don't want to... You want to say something to that?
No, he has done it for me. This land has no heart.
Okay.
That does it for me.
Konora is actually asking a question. If we're going to see the 2 games on TV, yes, obviously, NFF has actually called out to media houses to actually make it beat. Those ones that will show you. The kickoff time for both games will be 9:30 p.m. Nigerian time. That's when those games are starting. So you just watch out for any of the platforms. When it's closed, you get to know which of these platforms are succeeded in actually getting the rights to broadcast the games live.
All right.
Okay, papers right now.
Papers quickly as we prepare to leave. Let's have a complete sports. Let's see.
Yeah, complete sport. Musa backs Braze in training. You're talking about, what they did in that friendly they played against each other. Ekong glad to actually link up with the Eagles, and Onuachu Tijani also on target in that game. We talked about that earlier. EPL clubs splashed $1.24 billion on transfer. Of course, Chelsea, will obviously top this one. £226 million, and this is Corona period. Okay, 25 Nigerians who moved in the transfer window. You have the details in complete sport. And Keva vows to reclaim #1 spot at Chelsea.
Okay, yeah, that's what we're talking about. You think you can do that?
I honestly doubt it. And here's one of the major reasons. Even before Chelsea signed Kepa from Athletic Bilbao for that world record, £71.6 million, he wasn't an amazing shot stopper. You look at his save percentage, it was just in and around 60%. It was obviously a knee-jerk reaction by Chelsea when Courtois left them hanging. And some of the basic things, coming out to claim crosses, marshalling your defense properly, not avoiding errors behind. I think as at the second game of the season, Kepa had made more errors leading to goal than any other Premier League player all other Premier League players combined, beg your pardon. So it feels like Lampard has moved on from Kepa, and it actually feels like we saw last season that in the crunch games, the FA Cup final, the final Premier League game, Caballero was actually preferred. I think the only reason he's still at Chelsea is because of his mammoth wages and the fact that nobody was willing to compare.
Okay, all right. All right, we leave it at that. Sporting Sun, now next one, we have ahead of Friendlies, you have Iwobi Apogona, Kalu, Dazzle in training. Shaqiri test positive, that was yesterday. Pacquiao may lose WBA title. All right, anyone gets you talking of all these stories?
I think the Iwobi one, we hear a lot about players scoring in training. Can we translate those goals in training into the field of play?
It's not the same thing. Training is with your teammates, and of course, when you're playing a competitive game, is actually different.
So it shouldn't make news that they scored in training.
I mean, it's just the first time. I mean, we haven't seen these players for a long time together. So he should, come on.
He should focus on scoring regularly for Everton and translate that to Super Eagles.
But he has actually scored.
I'm resisting the temptation to laugh at Cecilia's last comment.
Cecilia is Carabao Cup. If I play for Everton, I will score in the Carabao Cup.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
I need to report it to Alexi Wobi. Let's go to Sporting Live.
For review, Sporting Live, let's see. Last one for review, Sporting Live, 26 players trained as the midweek edition of Sporting Live, 26 players trained. Thomas Partey, a story on him. Simeone, Atletico, angry with Gunners over Partey's move. And this one is shocking for me. Barca can afford Memphis Depay, and Cavani nearly quit football after COVID-19. But any one of these gets you talking in a minute, because we got to go.
Thomas Partey, Atletico Madrid. I can understand them being angry at Arsenal because Arsenal, the reports are that they brought the bid about 32 minutes to the end of the deadline. They just went straight to La Liga.
La Liga,
that's one of the bad parts of having a release clause. But being unhappy with Partey, that doesn't really sit well with me because they offered him a contract extension earlier on, and he did not did not accept it. So you know that he particularly wanted to leave the club.
He's the least paid player in the club, 1.8 million euros
so
a year.
I think they didn't do their business well. Unfortunately, now they just have to move on as there's a new season to actually prosecute.
But do you think he can actually, make Arsenal have a party at the end of the season?
Definitely. Definitely. And Arsenal won the FA Cup without Thomas Partey. He goes into that midfield and upgrades it immediately. And when he was starting,
is it too much of an exaggeration when people start comparing with Patrick Vieira?
Yeah, that's a long stretch now. That's a long stretch.
It's too much.
It's a long stretch. Patrick Vieira is one of, if not the best DM that we've ever seen in the Premier League. He's one of the most amazing. Certainly, if you're counting top three, he'll be there. Let's give Thomas Partey some time. I know a lot of people doubt the fact that he's coming from another league, but let's give him some time and see if he can stake a claim.
Oluwadamiloro Sale, I want to thank you for your time on the show.
It's been a pleasure, and it's always a pleasure.
Yes, it's mutual. It's mutual.
It definitely
All right. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Hopefully, yeah.
All right. Thank you as well. We always enjoy this, and that's why we're going to be back again tomorrow to do this, take you on a trip across the money-spinning world of sports. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.
I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Thanks for watching.